What's up, everybody? I'm Jordan Robinson, and we're back for another women's basketball stream here on Bleacher Report. And the WNBA season is over. I can't believe it. I'm sad about it. I know you guys are too, but the Las Vegas Aces are the champions. And now we have to switch our minds to think about college hoops because there's a little, I live in LA, so it's a little bit chillier in the weather. I think I wore a jacket and like a sweatshirt for the first time yesterday. That means that it's college basketball season. And so today we are going to talk about the top WNBA draft prospects from a college NCAA standpoint. I have a list. I got 6 for you. But before we get into that list, some of the biggest news around college basketball, and when you have to start thinking about college women's hoops again, the preseason poll just came out, and I think that really just starts the conversation again. AP poll, preseason poll, a lot is centered around that, and we can kind of dive deeper into that because it reminds everybody what happened in the portal, what happened in the off season, what happened after the Final Four and the national championship. So I have a few tidbits before I get into my prospects. Okay. So first of all, UConn is number 1 in the preseason poll, as they should be. The UConn Huskies, even though Paige Beckers is graduated, she won the national championship, she went on to win Rookie of the Year in the WNBA, but UConn still has her girlfriend, AZ Fudd, and Sarah Strong, and KK Arnold, and so many of their weapons that Gino Auriemma just keeps building, keeps rebuilding. They should be that number 1 spot. UConn could potentially run it back. I don't think that is a spicy take at all. We're going to talk more about AZ when we get into the draft prospects. At number 2 is South Carolina, which I think is not surprising, but when you think about the huge news of Malaysia Fawiley is no longer at South Carolina. She's at LSU, which is like earth-shattering news when that happened. She's still in the SEC. It was wild, but they retooled, and they got Tanai Latson, a bucket getter. We'll talk more about her a little bit later. But South Carolina is still sitting at that number 2 spot. Last year's AP poll preseason, those two were flipped. So we'll see. The other things that stood out to me when I look at this poll is the huge drop from the other USC in Southern California. Juju Watkins is out for the whole season, this upcoming season, because she tore her ACL in March. It's heartbreaking. I know we are not going to be able to see Juju play basketball this season. I'm really sad about it. But the Juju effect is real. Last year, they were sitting at this time of the year at the 3rd spot. They dropped all the way down to 18. They also had Kiki Iriafen last year. She went on to be an all-star in her rookie year in the WNBA. But just a huge gap for USC. I'm super curious to see how that team fits and without Juju, what they're going to do this year. The other drop is Notre Dame. They dropped to 15 because they do not have Olivia Miles anymore. She is now at TCU, which is sitting at number 17. And they have Hannah Hidalgo. I was super excited to see Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo for one more season. We are not going to get that anymore. Olivia Miles is now with the Horned Frogs. We'll talk more about her because she is definitely a draft prospect to watch. And last but not least, I just want to throw this out there because I recorded my podcast, Women's Hoop Show, earlier today. Me and Autumn Johnson were talking about this, but just the SEC. When you look at this pool of teams, the SEC is so dominant. 8 teams in the top 25, 5 in the top 10. That's crazy, you guys. Like, that's coming from one conference. It is going to be a battle every single night in that conference. And it's going to be going up against ranked schools. So it is going to be so fun. Besides LSU, South Carolina, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas. Like these are really good teams that are going to go really far come March. So make sure to clear your schedule, especially when LSU and South Carolina meet for the first time, February 14th. I already have that on my calendar marked. Told my husband, whatever date night is, it's going to have to revolve around this game because it's going to be so much fun. But that's how every game throughout conference is going to be. So keep a lookout for that. It's going to be great. I love this poll. I love that conversation. And I think it's going to just start everyone talking again around college hoops. So now let's go to the list of NCAA draft prospects to watch. But that was the AP poll. I also want to talk about our own poll. Who has 2026 Rookie of the Year potential? Make sure to vote on that. I'm curious what you guys are going to say. Who could be next year's WNBA's Rookie of the Year? That's super exciting. That's spicy. So make sure to vote on that poll throughout the stream. Hopefully I can convince you which one is the right answer. But let's go to my list of draft prospects to watch. I got 6 for you. We're going to start at number 6 and work our way to number 1. So at number 6, I have Kiki Rice coming out of UCLA. Kiki is a player that came into UCLA. She has been there her whole college career, which is so rare these days. Very, very rare. The bond that Kiki has with Coach Corey Close, I used to work for Pac-12 Network. I used to, I've interviewed them for Big Ten. This bond that they have, especially from point guard to coach, is super strong. It is super, super strong. I will say that I'm expecting a lot out of Kiki this upcoming season. UCLA was number 1 for most of the year last year. And I think that is largely because of someone else on this list. But Kiki was a huge piece of that as the point guard. And she is a scoring point guard. Where she gets her spots on the floor, her athleticness, her burst to the rim, I think was really on display her freshman year, her sophomore year, junior year. I think she had a little bit of a dip, but I'm expecting it to go back up her senior year. She is somebody who can be a great pro. A team that needs a backup point guard who can knock down a shot and get to the rim. Kiki Rice is what GMs are looking for. I think also something that a lot of people maybe underestimate is her size. She is tall. Like she's really big in that point guard position, which a lot of players around the college sphere can't talk about too much. So Kiki is a great, great addition to any WNBA roster. UCLA is going to be a very interesting team this upcoming season. They got some new pieces. They got some pieces away. One of those is Gianna Neepkins coming from Utah. Kiki, her assists can go up because Gianna Neepkins is a sniper. She can shoot the rock. So I think that's going to open up Kiki even more to be able to pass to a shooter like that. And then, of course, you have the best post player in the country down low. They don't have London Jones anymore. She actually crossed enemy lines and is now playing for USC. So that is going to be super interesting. The UCLA USC games never miss, never miss. Okay, let's go to number 5 on my list. This is Big Foe, Flau'jae Johnson. I probably should have put her at 4 just because of Big Foe. Flau'jae Johnson out of LSU is someone who, I mean, we know what she can do from under Kim Mulkey, from the world of Kim Mulkey and what she was able to do next to Angel Reese. She is a national champion. She was able, as a freshman, she was able to help her team in huge ways back then. Then became her team, and she, again, another person who stayed with one school the entire time and has built up this lore around being with LSU. Um, SEC Freshman of the Year, first team All SEC. We just talked about how tough that conference is. That is a huge indicator of what she's going to be able to do against the top talent in the WNBA. Almost 20 points a game, over 5 rebounds, almost 2 steals a game. She is so active. I think that's my favorite thing about her. She is active. She's electric. She can go on a personal run. When I think of a WNBA comp for Flage, I think of Kalia Copper. And we saw what she can do in the finals. She is a finals MVP. She is somebody that can get steals, get stops, knock down buckets. Flage is definitely that player and can be that player for a future WNBA team. That is super, super exciting for GMs to see her. And I think, again, this is going to be an interesting season for Flage because she could have come out this past year. She chose to go back to school. And we're really happy she did because she's going to get to play with Mylasia Fuwiley and Michaela Williams. Mylasia has Kim Mulkey talked about being the primary ball handler. So you're going to be able to have Flage on the wing, Michaela Williams on the wing, and they are so fast. When you think of those three, when you think of the scoring power between those three, woo! She is going to have to share some of her buckets a little bit this year with Fuwiley, but I think it's still going to be super exciting. Flage doesn't have a ton to prove this season, but I think that she wants to show WNBA GMs that she is consistent. She can consistently knock down the three, that she can consistently score inside the paint. That's going to be huge for her this season, but I know Kim Mulkey, she's getting her ready. This is all a pro mindset. That's what these players have on the docket. They're like, how can I be WNBA ready? That's all that they're thinking about. All right. Number 4, Tanai Latson at South Carolina. This was probably my favorite portal move in offseason. When this happened, and I know South Carolina fans were ecstatic, but I was like, this is perfect. This is going to increase her draft stock. It is going to make South Carolina better. We are going to be able to see her more often. She was at Florida State for her previous school. And when you were watching South Carolina in the Final Four and throughout March, maybe throughout the season, but especially in that championship game when they lost handedly to UConn, at home, I was saying they need somebody that can go get a bucket, that just move out the way. We need a bucket. And they went and got the biggest bucket getter in the country. Tanai Latson was the leading scorer in the country. Like, that is crazy that she decided to go to South Carolina. And the dominoes fell because once she committed to South Carolina, that's when Mylasia Fuwiley decided to leave because I don't think it was enough room for both of them to really work. But Tanai Latson, her ability to score flat out, she can score. In the WNBA, we like that. WNBA GMs really like players that can score. And I think her speed, her size, maybe her shooting percentage is a little low because she takes a ton of shots, but I don't see that as a negative. I see that as a WNBA squad being like, we need points. Tanaya Latson will get us that. This season is just going to allow her to be on an even bigger stage and potentially go for a title as she is trying to increase her draft stock. We all know what she can do by leading the country in scoring when there are a lot of bucket getters out there. Tanaya Latson is one of the best in the guard position. So super excited to see what how it fits in a Dawn Staley system. I know that they're going to want the ball in her hands a lot. And the other side of it is, especially when we talk about players going into the portal and changing schools, she already has that chemistry with Raven Johnson. They have won Georgia State titles together. They have played on AAU teams together. They have not only played together, but won together. So Raven Johnson might need a little credit for getting Tanaya Latson over to South Carolina. But I think this is going to work, and I think her draft stock is going to improve throughout this season. So I'm super hopeful and excited about that. Um, let's go to the chat real quick. Let's see. Tulip says, my way too early prediction is a UConn versus UCLA finals. I like that. Okay. I like that. That could be really fun. UCLA, I mean, last year, I just feel like UCLA's team was really made for it all last year, but we'll see. Maybe a Gianna Neepkins is the piece that they needed. We'll talk more about UCLA in a little bit. I can already sense it. Jordan's not going to have Awa Fam on her list. So this is college. We're not talking about draft order necessarily. I'm not talking about the WNBA draft. This is the NCAA. We're talking college and we're talking, yes, college basketball players. So this isn't necessarily the draft. We got time. We got time to talk about the draft. We've got time to talk about draft order predictions. We do that every year. Do you remember my live show with Natasha Cloud? It was awesome. We'll do that again. But this is more about college to get you hyped for the college season. Okay? Let's move on to number 3. As we go through our draft prospects, college players, at number 3, I said that maybe the biggest shock in the portal was Tanaya Latson. I'm probably immediately going to change and say Olivia Miles deciding to forego going to the WNBA draft last year and going to TCU had my jaw on the floor. That was the craziest decision. I never, ever thought that that was going to happen. She was projected to go number 2. She could have been on the Seattle Storm. She could have had her whole rookie campaign, and she said, nah, I want to run it back one more year and go to another school and go with the Horned Frogs. So Olivia Miles, after averaging 15 points, 5 rebounds, almost 6 assists last year, one of the best point guards, maybe the best point guard in college basketball. I think that is fair to say. The vision, the goggles, like Olivia Miles is so good. Her favorite player is Chelsea Gray. It makes sense that she is as good as she is. The question marks is just like around TCU. Are they going to be good enough? Is she going to boost them? Is she going to have a major role in scoring? Mark Campbell is doing some wizardry over at TCU. They made it to the Elite Eight last year, more than or before any other team that has ever done it before. Haley Van Lith was definitely a big piece of that. But when TCU puts this lineup on the floor, they are so big and tall. And I think they could come in and just surprise some people. So when we talk about the AP poll, they are, they're kind of in the middle of the pack right now, maybe towards the bottom. They're sitting at 17, but they are definitely projected to win the Big 12 again, and they're number one in their preseason poll for their conference. But I think it's going to be a lot of the non-con games that gets TCU really interested. If you remember, TCU beat Notre Dame last season, not once, but twice. And so Olivia Miles crossed those enemy lines and decided to play for the other team. But it's going to be so interesting. I haven't checked the schedule to see if they do play Notre Dame or when that matchup is going to be, but woo, that's going to be spicy. That's going to be really, really good. Okay, moving on to my top two. This is maybe a hot take of this order of these two players. But at number two, I have Lauren Betts from UCLA, the best post player in the country. Lauren Betts had a fantastic season last year. At the center position at UCLA, I talked about Corey Close and her relationship with Kiki Rice at the top of the show. Her relationship with Lauren Betts is incredible, and she talked to me about it. Corey was just saying that the leadership role, how it's evolved over these past few seasons, has been tremendous. And that's 65% from the field, over 20 points a game. She showed just how virtually unstoppable she is at her height, at her strength, finishing around the rim. Her touch has just gotten so much better. I remember covering her at the Pac-12 network when she was a freshman at Stanford. Moving over to UCLA, I think, was a great, great choice. And when you think about this hunger of being the top team all season long and coming up short, not able to get to the championship game and being so, so close that you could taste it after having this season that she individually had and UCLA had as a whole season, it is something that you want to go back and get and you have that hunger for. So I'm excited to see a version of Lauren Betts that answers all of our questions around her being a pro, because this is about draft prospects, right? So Lauren Betts going into the WNBA, there are going to be other players as big as her, as strong as her, but there are also going to be players as big and as strong, but quicker and can shoot the three and can shoot a jumper. Like, okay, Lauren, you're gonna be switched on Asia Wilson. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Nobody has figured it out. We're not asking you to come in and figure it out, but this idea that we want to see her mid-range game even more. We want to see what she can do against players that are her size. So I'm super curious how she has even gotten better going into her senior season and making her more defined as a player, because I really do think she's that good. She's going to make a WNBA team immediately better. She's going to be a top draft pick, potentially number one overall, definitely in the lottery. It's also just interesting when you think about how the league is moving towards bigs, or it's kind of always been a forward dominated league. When you think about Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, like that four position has definitely been in the MVP conversations more than a point guard, more than a traditional big and center. The game might be moving away from that traditional five position. So, Lauren Betts, how are you going to show us that you have more to offer? I think she switches on guards super well on the defensive end, and that's something that WNBA GMs are like licking their chops. I'm sure they absolutely love that. Let's go to the chat real quick because I see you guys talking about Betts. Betts is a better version of Camila Cardoso, in my opinion. Um, I love that. The traditional five is slowly disappearing. Yes, I was just saying that. Totally understand. Totally understand. Anybody picking AZ over Flage is crazy. AZ is a better shooter, but not a better player. Interesting. AZ's injury history and her limited on-ball skills means I have her at 2 out of the college class after Betts. AZ has the highest floor in the class. She will be a starter for the next decade. And that is a perfect transition to my number one player, who is AZ Fudd out of UConn. I think, yes, we have to factor in the injury prone for sure. That is always something that you just can't ignore. But her ceiling as a scorer, as a shooter, is so pro ready to me. Like, I think about when you think about Paige and you see her transition to the WNBA as a scorer first was seamless. Seamless. First of all, you also have to keep in consideration that these are UConn products. Gino Auriemma knows how to produce pros. That's a fact. The history, the receipt is as long as a CVS receipt. Okay. AZ Fudd, her movement off the ball, her spot up shooting, her catch and release, the timing of it, her pull up jumper. Having a mid range in the WNBA is very important. Ask Courtney Williams on the Minnesota Lynx. That can be a part of your whole MO. It can't be stopped if you're able to get to your spot. But also the knockdown shooter, the spot up shooter in the W is also becoming a little bit of a lost art. Like, I feel like there was a time, 2010s, late 2010s, where everybody had just this knockdown killer shooter on their team, and that was a necessity. And I feel like now we've kind of gone to, you just have to be an all-around guard. Bring back the knockdown shooter. There are so many times that we were watching the finals. I think of someone like a Sammy Whitcomb, who traditionally, yes, she is a knockdown shooter, but we're drawing up a play for you immediately because we needed 3 points. Bring that player back, and that is AZ Fudd. I just feel like you can plug her into any team and she is going to be an asset. The difference between that and a Lauren Betts is a traditional five, like we just talked about, a very center focus that is back to the basket and wants to post up. AZ Fudd, you can put her anywhere. Any team this season would be like, yeah, we'll take AZ. Yes, we need those points. We need her height, her length, everything about it. So that's just my opinion. That's what all of this is. Dylan says, no, she's number one because she's the best relief scorer in the country. She's a scorer. She is a flat out shooter. She's really good at it. And she's on a really good team. And we are going to see I think, just a more matured AZ. I think probably, well, I don't know this, but I would say her goals of coming into this season is just to limit those mistakes and make it undeniable. Like, people are talking about AZ as like, yeah, she'll be floating to the top of the draft. She'll be a lottery pick, or even some of them had her mid first round. I'm like, are you kidding me? No. I think GMs are saying she is a top 3 draft pick for sure. Again, like I said, because she can be plugged in for any team. Okay. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I let's recap, okay? Because we talked a lot. We talked about a lot. So going through this list, My top WNBA draft prospects from the NCAA college season. It is the women's college hoop season. Yes, I'm so happy that we're finally here. At number 6, I have Kiki Rice out of UCLA, one of the best point guards in the country, helped UCLA to a top ranking all season last year. Now she's gonna have some more help from the scoring and to help her assist up in the sense of Gianna Neepkins being over there, but also she gets to pass it and work with Lauren Betts. They are a great tandem, one of the best duos in the country. So I think they are going to have a ton of success, but also Kiki, this is her season to kind of make a leap to show WNBA GMs that she can be a trusted point guard for the long haul. At number 5, I have Flau'jae Johnson out of LSU. I have her WNBA comp to a Kalia Copper, who is somebody who is just in the finals and has been a WNBA champion and a finals MVP before. That is who she could be. Her explosiveness, her effort, her speed, how she can go on a 11-0 run by herself. We just saw Ka do that in the finals. Flau'jae is that type of person. This season, we're going to be able to see her alongside Malaysia Fulwiley and Michaela Williams. That is a tough guard group to go up against in the toughest conference in the nation, in the SEC. Speaking of, they're going to have to go up against someone like Tanaya Ladson out of South Carolina. One of the best portal moves in the offseason, going from Florida State to South Carolina, leading scorer in all of the country. Dawn Staley got her a bucket, and I think it's only going to put a bigger spotlight on her to show everybody why she's so great and deserves to be on a WNBA team. Coming in at number 3 is Olivia Miles. Her foregoing the draft and saying, not only am I foregoing the draft, I'm not coming back to Notre Dame where I have been for 4 years, but I am going to TCU. Shook the women's basketball world. Oh, it was crazy. We didn't even know what to do with that news. Now I'm excited to see the best point guard in the country, hands down, Olivia Miles, what she can do in the Big 12. It's going to be super exciting. I don't think she needs a lot to prove. I think we all know what a great and skilled passer she is and a knockdown scorer. She's just so fun to watch. And yeah, we'll see. If they win a ton, if they make a run, it can help their her draft stock, but I think it's already high. At number 2, Lauren Betts, the best center, the best big in the country at UCLA. The WNBA game is maybe moving away from a traditional big, a traditional 5. But Lauren Betts is just that good that WNBA teams are like, well, we gotta have, we would love to have her. Her scoring, her field goal percentage being over 65%. She's been able to work on her touch around the rim, and I can't wait to see her elevate that even more. Let's see if she develops a mid-range, if she can step out and shoot a little bit more. That'll be exciting. And then at my top spot for draft prospects out of college is AZ Fudd. I love her game. I love what she has been able to do at UConn and how she is a flat out shooter. It's so beautiful to watch. You can watch AZ shooting videos all day long on repeat. It is the same form every time. You can plug her into any WNBA squad and she will be useful, needed, and be able to get that shot off. That's not a question in my mind. She is injury prone. We know that, but I think she's going to be great. And this season, alongside Sarah Strong, probably maybe making a run at going back to back. She's in good hands in UConn and Gina Auriemma, and I have zero doubts about her going into the pros. So that's my list. Whew. It is going to be a great college basketball season. The good games preseason is really starting the early November, but hopefully that got you caught up and got you ready for women's college hoops. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for hanging out. Bye.